It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor? How are you?
I warned you. I wanted to open this segment with a heartfelt thank you to everyone that has contributed to this channel in the many ways that you have, and let you know that I'm no longer accepting support. I've closed down my Patreon page. I've discontinued that account, and the reason for that is I feel like I kind of owe you. About the time I launched all that fundraising, my health began to really just crater, and I didn't really keep up my end of that bargain. So moving forward, it's my intent to, just keep making video and doing what I do, and I'm grateful that you support it in the sense that you enjoy the work. And I'd also like you to know that I tend to say no to Sharts, but Shartney has been with the channel an awful long time, and it had been my intent to skip right past the door to the universe that is vacuum, because if you even crack that door, you're going to get sucked in. But I can't say no to Shartney, so it was my intent to do a really over-the-top video about vacuum, because it really is an entire area of science unto itself. Not that I have any great understanding, but I do understand how it works under the hood. And anyway, I started to make that video. I was hoping to stay away from this door to the universe and not talk about vacuum lines, but Shartney wants to see a video about replacing vacuum lines. Let's have a look at this red one here. Alright, toughest part of that is don't break the little plastic doohickey on the vacuum reservoir. If we take this end that came off of here, you can check, and looks like it's the same size hose, so it's a simple matter of going to the auto parts store and getting a piece of hose that's that diameter and just replace this skinny tube with a bigger hose. No. You sure? Alright. Be careful what you wish for, brother. In the automotive world, we tend to think of vacuum as a force, but the reality is that vacuum is the lack of force. And then it turned out I just don't have that time right now. I have a lot of obstacles to overcome so I can get where I need to be in life, so that I can get to this point where I'm making better video and having a better time in general. I won't burden you with all of that personal stuff that I've got to get done, but I've got to get back to work in the sense that I've got to get something going on to improve my life after being sick for so long, and that's what this truck is about. I intend to get in it and drive either around or through those obstacles. All of that, though, to say that Shartney, this is for you. We're going to take a straight basic mechanical look at replacing the vacuum lines, rather than getting into all of the science around it. But that video is calling my name. I got to make that video sooner or later, but it's just going to have to wait. So let's look at some vacuum lines. Here's the vacuum lines tentatively installed. I say tentatively because after I put the airbox and everything together, I will be cutting them to the proper length to fit with everything that's supposed to go in there, and everything will be neatly organized and supported to keep them from getting in the manifold and melted again. The way I made this happen was to remove my existing vacuum lines, walk into my local auto parts store so I could watch the young guy behind the counter prepare to have a conversation about hey, old guy, I can't get factory replacement lines. And then, well, I pulled this out, and I had him bring me some line the size of this barb here, because that's the size of all the plastic barbs in this system. And we went from there. He brought out a roll, and we just laid out my vacuum lines that were this approximate size, and added a foot to the length with the new line so that I knew I would have enough length to do whatever I wanted to do. Now, that particular line size wasn't exactly right. It was a little small for the barbs coming right off the manifold, but with a little bit of lube I managed to fit them on just fine. The larger line was the same size on both ends, so it wasn't even a problem. And the only issue was the line change between the manifold and the large vacuum canister that the air cleaner sits on, and I came up with a clever fix for that. You can get a little bit creative with vacuum hose. Now remember, all of the barbs on this manifold tree are the same size, yet I've got a small line here that I managed to fit on it with just a little bit of lube, but it also fits that larger size. I couldn't get away with any tricks like that down here at the vacuum canister because the lines were just too big coming out of this box, so I had to use the original fitting. But fortunately, the small line is the same size as the outer diameter of the old plastic line. So I'll put a little RTV silicone on this carefully so I don't block anything up, and just slip it back on, and that should be just fine. I'm going to scrub down all this airbox stuff and put all this back together and get this hood closed, because I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tired looking at it under here. We'll get that exhaust welded back together, and then we'll have a look at getting those slick new shocks put on this thing. Then we'll go for a ride. I don't think science has developed a camera capable of catching the amount of suck that is going on under here right now, but setting it up was worse than this. I decided to go ahead and weld it in place, because if I take all this junk off here, I'm not going to want to put it back on. I don't have any real problems with commitment or anything like that, but I do have a tendency to get bored. That's why there's such a variety of material available on this channel, and that's why I didn't do 20 years for Boeing. Latin mom said, the U.S. currency's not getting any better, so don't bother doing 20 for somebody thinking you're going to get a retirement, because by the time you're ready to collect, they'll be screwing with retirement accounts too. So go make your own security and don't forget to have a good time. And all of that to say, between the emergency surgery on that Kia and everything I had planned to do here, I'm about tired of working on cars right now. So I don't feel like doing those shocks. So I was thinking we would just skip that for now. We'll get to it later. And, well, let's go have a drive around my neighborhood.
What do you want for nothing? Rubber biscuit?
You know, if you'd have thought about it a little bit, you'd realize that I don't really have the money to take you to Disneyland, but it is about time for your annual checkup at the dentist. Yeah, so the truck's not running very well. It doesn't surprise me. What we've done so far, you know, we cleaned up the EGR system, we cleaned up the throttle body and had a look at the throttle position sensor. We replaced the O2 sensor. So now the computer's getting a little more valid information, and it's not like running in a default mode where everything is bad. And so we're having a look at this. This is the IAC, the idle air control, and what it does is allows the computer to regulate the amount of air going into the engine separate from the normal intake system. It's a pretty slick thing. We'll get into talking about that a little bit more on the next video about the good $400 truck. But for now, I've ordered one straight out of China, because if you're going to get some junk from China, you might as well order it straight and get it cheap. But it's on a slow boat, so that's going to buy me a little time to not have to mess around with cars for a little bit. And what I'm doing in the interim is I'm playing guns. Next video you see me, I think we're going to have a look at a fairly important pistol. This is the Smith & Wesson 439. It was the carry gun prior to the polymer guns, the lightweight polymer guns becoming so prevalent. That was the gun. It's actually a pretty important gun, and we're going to have a look at it, not only the gun itself, but talk a little bit about why it's important. And eventually, sooner or later, we're going to go for a ride in this truck. Also on a slow boat from China, I've got some cameras coming that we're going to mount in this truck, so that when we do get around to riding in this thing, it'll be a little more interesting, because, you know, you're just kind of sitting here on a tripod right now, and that's not really going to work driving around. It'll be a very shaky ride. Anyway, you know, I appreciate you. I'll see you soon, and well, I'm just having a good time, and thank you for joining me.